Hi, my name is Vanessa van Dijk, and in today's video I'm going to show you how you can use your skincare products following a morning skincare routine. Now I have prepared for you a PowerPoint slide so that you can see the entire order of application and a general guide, and then later on I want to show you the entire application on my face. So let's get started with the PowerPoint slide, which you can see right here. So you can see the different steps. This would be the order of application. You can see the example products I've picked. If you should have different ones, feel free to exchange them, but it won't change the actual step. It still would follow the same order of application. If you shouldn't have a specific product, it's fine to skip it and then immediately move on to the next step. So you can adjust it based on what you have at home. And underneath that specific order of application, you will find a general guide, which should help you to give you an understanding of how much you need to use so that you won't come across any layering issues, that it feels comfortable on the skin, and that you won't come across pilling. So first of all, we're going to get started with the first step, which is using a cleanser to properly wash your face. After that, you're following with a toner. Then you're going to move on to your essence. Then you can follow with a specific serum or treatment for your skin concerns. Then you're going to move on to your moisturizer. Then follow with your sunscreen to protect the skin from the damaging UV rays during daytime, and then follow with makeup. And I want to keep my main focus on the foundation part because you're going to apply it all over your face, and this sometimes can lead to issues when using the sunscreen beforehand. And so again, underneath you can find the general guide, what I can recommend, what I've tested so far, so that it feels comfortable on the skin and that you just have enough to evenly blend it all over your face and neck. Now, if you want to go over this specific PowerPoint slide in your own time and you want to see some additional skincare tips, you will find a link in the description box down below. You can just either go over the PowerPoint slides online or even download them to your device. But now I want to keep my focus on the entire application. So first of all, go ahead, grab your favorite cleanser to properly wash your face to remove any excess oil, dirt and sweat from the skin. If you have a different one, exchange it. Just make sure that you're going to read on the back of the packaging on how you should use your cleanser. Most commonly it says apply to wet skin and then rinse it off with water. However, there are some alternatives like a oil or balm cleanser or maybe other gentler cleansers for dry skin where they do say, well, apply to dry skin and then later on rinse it off with water. So based on that, you need to adjust it accordingly. But I'm going to go with the most common method, which is apply to wet skin and then rinse it off with water. You can wash your face above the sink or in the shower. Either way is fine. Just make sure to properly rinse everything off later on. And so I'm going to now get started with, first of all, wetting my face and neck using lukewarm water, and then I'm going to splash it to the face and neck. And then I'm going to use about 1 to 2 pumps, which is more or less about a coin size amount, and gently massage it over my face and neck for about 30 seconds to a minute. And please make sure to not get it into your eyes nor into your mouth. If that's the case, rinse it with water. So let's go ahead and do this. So once you have massaged it all over your face and neck, you now can go ahead and again rinse it off with lukewarm water to warm water. Now when doing this above the sink, using your hands alone isn't enough. You always will end up with a bit of residue, mainly of your cleanser, but still any excess oil, dirt and sweat as well. And so therefore I always recommend using a clean washcloth in between, those makeup cloths or microfiber cloths, which are extremely effective once you have wet them, to gently swipe it across your face to get it properly off the skin. So, and now you can go ahead and take a clean towel and remove the water drops from the skin surface. This is where I believe many of you may do the mistake that you're going to still leave those water drops on the skin surface. But this can cause later on issues when layering other skincare products afterwards, because then you're going to mix it with the remaining water on the skin, then it starts to dry, and then when layering other products afterwards, this can peel off the skin. So please make sure to now take a clean clean towel and gently pat over your face to remove those water drops from the skin surface. So once you're done with your cleansing step, you can immediately move on to the next step. Now would be the time to include your toner. And so when using your toner, you can either apply it with your hands and then use about 5 to 8 drops or maybe 5 to 10 drops of your toner on the palm of your hand, rub your hands together and then gently blend it all over your face and neck. Or you can go ahead and use a cotton pad. Now when using a cotton pad with your toner, make sure that it is slightly damp but not dripping wet, so that you still have enough product to swipe it across your face when doing the application and that the skin is able to quickly absorb it as well. So about that much, more or less. So you can see it is not dripping wet. This is really the key point. And then gently swipe it across your face as well as neck. Make sure to not get it into your eyes nor into your mouth. If that's the case, rinse it with water. And depending on the toner that you may be using, please read on the back of the packaging if you can use it around the eyes or if you should avoid it. So once you're done with the application of your toner, you're going to leave it on the skin. There's no need to wash it off. Now you can give it about 30 seconds to a minute in between each step so that the skin has time to absorb the product. If your skin has already absorbed it much faster, well then just go ahead and move on to the next step. Now would be the time to use an essence. And so depending on the essence that you may have, you can use it in a similar way as I just mentioned with the toner. Or if you have an essence or maybe toner that contains a pump and it has a bit more of a like stiffer texture, then go ahead and use about 1 to 2 pumps for your face and neck. Start off with 1 pump, see how far you can blend it. If that should already be enough, there's no need to add another pump to it. But if you feel like you're still missing a bit of your neck, well then go ahead and just add another pump to it so that you can customize it but still not overdoing it with how much you're going to use. Then gently blend it over your face and neck. So once you have applied it all over, you're going to leave it on the skin. There's no need to wash it off. Now again, you can wait a bit in between, otherwise immediately move on to the next step. Now when it comes to the next step, this would be your specific serum or treatment. If you are using more than one, I recommend using no more than 3 serums or like treatments in one routine, otherwise this can be quite a lot. And always keep the focus on what your skin concerns are. So please make sure that you're just using what your skin needs. Otherwise you're going to extend the skincare routine with too many products which does not maybe layer well. Of course, if you can reduce it to only 1 or 2 serums or maybe 1 serum and a specific treatment, well then this would be the best combination. And so I have 2 examples right here, and I want to break it down based on how much you need to use based on the texture. So if you should have a serum that comes with a pipette that has a very water-like texture similar to a toner, again you can go with the toner guide, using between 5 to 8 drops, maybe 5 to 10 drops, so that you have enough for your face and neck. If the texture is slightly thicker but still runnier, go with about 3 to 5 drops for your face and neck. If you should have a serum that has a very sticky, thick texture, you need to reduce it, use about 2 to 3 drops. And if you should have a treatment that comes into a cream-like texture or maybe gel, use about a pea-size amount. So you need to make sure that you have enough to evenly blend it all over, but it should be an extremely thin layer, so that you're making sure that you won't come across any issues when layering other skincare products on top of it. And layer from the thinnest to the thickest texture. So if you have a serum and a treatment that has a thicker cream-like texture, you're starting off with a liquid and then you're moving on to the cream product. And so as an example, I'm now going to use a zone. That one has a thicker, stickier texture, so I'm going to use about 2 to 3 drops for my face and neck. If you should have a zone that comes with a pipette or like in a little tube where you can dispense the product, you can either apply the product onto the palm of your hand, fingertips, or immediately to the skin, and then start blending it all over. So once you have applied it to the skin, you're going to leave it on the skin. There's no need to wash it off. Now you can move on to the next step, which is going to be your moisturizer. Now, in general, you can go with about a bean size amount for your face and neck. However, if you have already included the products based on like the setup, the labeling that you have already done with toner, essence, and your specific serums and treatments, you may want to reduce the amount of your moisturizer a bit. Otherwise, it just can be too much because you have already hydrated the skin well enough that you may not feel the need of using too much moisturizer. So therefore, again, the overall general guide would be a bean size amount, but you can adjust it with going with a bit less, depending on what you have already applied previously. So I'm going to use about a pea size amount instead of a bean size amount, so that I can evenly blend it all over and that it still feels comfortable on the skin. So once you have applied your moisturizer all over, you're going to leave it on the skin. There's no need to wash it off. And now you can move on to the next step, which is going to be your sunscreen to protect the skin from the damaging UV rays. And even if you experience surface hyperpigmentation, fine lines and wrinkles, have already in general sun damaged skin, this can really help you to protect it. And so when choosing your sunscreen, go with your favorite one. It shouldn't irritate your skin. It should feel comfortable so that you are willing to use it during the day. If it's not giving you the feeling, I recommend going with a different sunscreen, because it is still important before sun exposure to apply 10 to 15 minutes and then like having a full protection during daytime. Of course, the reapplication is important, especially after sweating, swimming, or like daily activities where it can wear off, but you will find a specific sunscreen guide in my PowerPoint slides in the description box down below. What's important is how much you need to use. They always will give you like a guide, use enough. But this isn't really a specific guide, therefore I recommend going with about half a teaspoon for your face, neck, including your ears, and maybe a bit of your décolletage. If you have more décolletage exposure, I recommend going with more or less about a teaspoon. This is an overall general guide. If you feel like this is way too much for you, you can reduce it. But it should teach you that you need to use a fair amount to evenly blend it all over to have an even protection before sun exposure. And I have a half a teaspoon right here so that you can see it visually as well. I'm going to take my sunscreen, just going to dispense some product onto the half a teaspoon. So more or less. And then take it on your fingertips, so immediately on your fingertips if you can remember the amount. And then evenly blend it all over your face, neck, ears and décolletage. Keeping the main focus now on my face and neck and ears. However, of course, if you have more sun exposure on the skin, either protect it with protective clothes or make sure that you're going to apply sunscreen on those areas as well. So once you have applied your sunscreen all over, you're going to leave it on the skin. There's no need to wash it off. Now I do want to emphasize one more important point, and this is using the sunscreen around the eyes. If your sunscreen does not irritate your eyes, you can use it around the eyes. If it does irritate your eyes, please avoid the eye area and then either just wear sunglasses during the day or switch to a sunscreen that you can use around the eyes. But still make sure that you're not getting it into your eyes nor into your mouth. If that's the case, rinse it with water. Now, once you have applied your sunscreen and you now want to follow on with your makeup application, as already mentioned earlier, I want to keep my focus on the foundation itself because you would layer it all over your face, maybe your neck as well. And this is where you have applied your sunscreen. And this is where it is important to wait at least 5 to 10 minutes, maybe up to 15 minutes, so that the sunscreen can set before you're going to apply your makeup on top, to make sure that when applying your foundation, BB or CC cream afterwards, that you're not going to move it around too much to keep the protection going underneath your makeup. And so I'm now going to wait a bit and then I will be right back. So once you gave your sunscreen the time to set, can move on to your makeup application. And I'm going to keep my main focus on the foundation itself, as you would apply it evenly all over your face, maybe your neck as well. And this sometimes can be troubling with the sunscreen. So the waiting time in between is extremely important. So go ahead, grab your favorite base product, foundation, BBC or CC cream, whatever you may be using. And then there are two ways that I recommend working with it. Either apply it with your hands or take a foundation brush. So it is important to apply it a dry way. I do not recommend using a damp sponge to apply your foundation, specifically if you have a sunscreen underneath, because then I came already often across the problem that it starts to break apart, where you then can see that the makeup is going to move away and you have like the bare skin underneath. So therefore, my best advice, just apply the dry way, either with your foundation brush or fingers. So go ahead, take your base product and then gently do the application. Now, when doing the application with your fingers or brush, what you have to keep in mind is be gentle. Do not put too much pressure on the skin to really like swipe it across your face, because this again may get into the risk that your sunscreen is going to move as well. So be gentle when doing the application and very lightweight to still evenly blend it over your face and neck. So again, as you can see now with the brush, I'm being very lightweight, not too heavy. I'm not going to put too much pressure on it so that I can still blend it evenly, but I'm not going to move the sunscreen around. Now, when I apply my foundation, I prefer mainly to use a brush that has a flat surface. This is like a buffing brush. And this way I can decide if I like to gently swipe it across my face or even do like the stamping motion, kind of as you would do with a sponge, just that you're going to use it like on a dry way with a brush. So once you have applied your foundation, BB, CC cream, then there you go. Again, keep the methods in mind that I have recommended, otherwise you may come across issues when using your sunscreen underneath. And of course now from here on you can go on with your usual makeup routine, what products you then want to follow on afterwards, that's completely fine. But I just want to teach you that the time gap in between your sunscreen and makeup products is really important, so that you're not going to move the sunscreen around to still have the protection during the day. And so this is what I wanted to share with you on how you can use each skincare product when coming up with a morning skincare routine, so that you know the order of application, have a general guide in mind of how much you need to use, and then how you can properly apply it to the skin, so that you won't come across any pilling issues, you won't come across any weird feelings, so that everything layers well and feels comfortable. And as you can see, I'm now going to give you like a little close-up, so to say. I do not experience any pilling. The foundation layers beautifully on top, even though I have included all the previous steps beforehand. And so this is the goal that you want to achieve when doing such a skincare routine. Now, I do hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did so, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up as well as share it. And if you now want to learn how you can create a morning and evening skincare routine, how you can build it yourself, I'm going to leave a video at the end of this video so that you can learn this this too. And if you want to learn more about skincare and makeup in general, I have those videos on my YouTube channel, so feel free to check it out. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you soon in the next one. Happy skincaring. Bye!